It's Jan! Skates!
Welcome to the Jan Skate Show. Welcome to the Jan Skate Show.
No. This is not proper the Jan Show because I've been too busy breaking all my New Year's resolutions. I don't know about you. So all I have for you this month is me showing you how you can do a bit of foraging in your local area. Keep watching. And then next month will be really special because I've got my new best friends, the rose growers of Agrivaldani.
Hi Jan! Welcome to Agrivaldani! We're gonna give you a little tour!
And I've got a fantastic video that I worked on last year with a rock star, and I've got some other bits and pieces from photo shoots, so the February issue is going to be amazing, and the January issue, well, you're watching it. Hello everybody and welcome back to my flower house. This year I intend to not go out and buy my materials, but instead use what I have around, what I've got growing in the garden. If you live in the city, it is possible, and I have heard of people doing it, I'm not sure I've done it myself, who go into the public parks and help themselves to a bit of foliage. Maybe not go into the actual flower beds and start cutting those up. Another good place to find wonderful plant material is in car parks, especially for large supermarkets or DIY stores. The trick to not get disturbed while you're out picking your foliage is, I believe that this is what high visibility vests were invented for. And if you can find one that actually says something like that on it, no one is going to ask you any questions at all of what you're doing. Good tip for foraging if you're out on a drive is bring a bucket, because everything you cut in the wild will need to go straight into water. So let me show you some of the things I found recently in my local car park. Peter's Purum. This is a variegated variety. In a month or so it's going to have tiny little flowers which you can't really see, but is very, very fragrant and absolute joy to have inside. I've got some variegated ivy which has very large flower heads, seed heads now on them. With the berries. This has two aspects as the flower bit, and then it's got these long bits which will give you interesting lines. Another good tip is don't cut too much. You want to be able to come back later in the year when maybe some of the things that are flowering now will then be with a nice berry. So only cut what you need. This one is a type of viburnum. They come in white as the sort of main varieties, and sometimes you can get some with a little flush of pink on them, and they will all have berries later on in the year. Some of the varieties have got these very beautiful sort of metallic blue berries, which is quite stunning. So that's something else to look out for another time of year. But they are also evergreen, so they're very good foliage plants if you're thinking of something for the garden. Did you know that anything that you find that's flowering this time of year in January tends to have a very, very strong scent? Because it wants to attract the few insects around at the moment. So if you are sensitive to strong scents in the house, bear that in mind and only cut a small bit and try out. And if the scent isn't to your liking, then you can just go without. The first one I want to show you is more like a styling way of using flowers. So it's more about the containers you use, and I am an avid collector of vases, so I have a lot. This sort of light green is one of my favorite colors, and I'm always looking for things in this color with interesting shape. I think you can sort of match different styles if they're all in the same sort of color family, or equally you could do one style in different colors. something that looks very big and bushy, you can still manage to make it delicate by just cutting whatever you need. Several options with the ivy, but I think I just want a little bit of upright height on this one. So this one, it's a different color, but it's the same hue, and it's still got a price on. £1. Well, can't go wrong with that, can you? It's a very strong scent that I love. It's sort of slightly, it's a bit like honey, I think I would describe it. So the first one is all about it's more about arranging pots than it is about arranging flowers. As this is a styling option, I think we need to add some other elements, so you can do sort of other natural materials. Maybe try to avoid plastic. And I've got a lovely little ceramic, super kitsch, very Vernon Ward type bird ornament. And this would be my first item, a little styled corner with a few snips from the local supermarket. The next one I want to show you is loosely based on Ikebana. I did start doing Ikebana classes a couple of years ago, and the classes weren't expensive, and they were held by this 80-year-old Japanese woman who was absolutely lovely. But it turned out that there were so many levels, and the first level had something like 20 classes in it, and there was more than 10 levels. So I think I just about finished level 1, and then it just was a little bit too much. Like, one lesson was one stick going this way, next lesson was one stick going that way. And I thought, I think I've understood the essence of Ikebana, and maybe I'll just stick with that and I'll never be an Ikebana Grandmaster. But to boil it down, Ikebana is basically about line and minimalistic portrayal of nature with a focal point. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Do I look very Japanese right now? So I've got a tiny little vase with a kensan in it, and it's got water in there. But because I'm not Japanese, I am Jan Skates. I actually like it in this strange, again, recycling. This came as some kind of protective item. Emballage, we call it in Danish, but I don't know what it is in English right now. I kind of like the shape of it. It's so strange and weird. So I thought I would try to use that. Maybe we should have the turntable for this. When I'm finished with it, I'm hoping you won't really see the edge of this, but you'll just see something coming out of this rather bizarre shape. But to me, it's quite sort of brutalist and interesting, and to me, that's kind of mid-century, and also in my mind, Ikebana was something that very much came into general knowledge in the West in the middle of last century. So I've linked the two things together from my Western point of view very much. Okay, let's try. So we need some lime. Some lovely twisted willow. So Ikebana is also very much about reducing your plant material. So nothing that's not right stays. You don't want to have too much of anything. And my little Japanese teacher. She could be quite brutal. She could take some bits of that you thought, oh, that's absolutely lovely. So for instance, she would say, we don't want any crossing lines. So basically that would be the end of you. This one has got no chance at all. Now, so we kind of got to choose which one of these two do we like. This one I feel goes back a bit too fast, so off you go. But this one we can reduce and we can send it off in this direction towards me. That's quite nice. A bit of pittosporum to fill it out. I want to use some of the lovely natural line of the ivy. One of the biggest sins in Ikebana is the back of a leaf. So if there's a back of a leaf, it has to come out. It's difficult in something like a pittosporum where everything's all over the place, so we can excuse that. And here, because of the way the ivy is growing, they're all facing front, so that's good. We've got another lovely line here. It's might be a bit much, but I think I fancy a bit of it. It's quite interesting. And I'm going to use the fruits of the ivy sort of like my focal point. Ikebana is not about natural, it's very contrived. It's to remind you of nature, but also to remind you that you are in control. Tidy table, tidy table, tidy table, tidy mind, tidy tidy. And this is my take on Ikebana, made from what we can find this time of the year. I quite like it. Nice, beautiful, almost looks like handmade vase. Water. Pebbles. This is with strong glass. And then I'm going to create almost like a little landscape. And the secret is to have everything looking like it would grow naturally, so quite sort of straight up lines. And then just have different levels of your material, and then hopefully it will look like something that could be a landscape. Working my way up from the bottom. It's just so gorgeous, this ivy. And some long bits of the petals. This is so quick. This is like one of the quickest things. I mean, I think it can be used anywhere. It's on a window, so you can see through it. It's got a lovely transparency. I just love this kind of style. So these are my 3 ideas for this month. Get yourself out there foraging. You'll be surprised what you'll see out there, and you'll be surprised how little you need to create something that's rather lovely for inside. So get out and do some foraging. You could of course do none of those things and just do a lovely bouquet and give to somebody you love.
Hi Jan! Welcome to Agrivaldani. We're gonna give you a little tour. harvest madness.
You got virgin in properly. So, this is the end of the episode. And you might ask yourself, why will next month be so much better? Because I am speaking to the Agrivaldani sisters. I am speaking to the drag queen gardener who's going to give us some tips on growing roses or something else rose related, as it's the Valentine's issue. I will be doing some strange yarn creation with roses, and what else? We have got a big rock video, music video that I did last year called Roses, funnily enough. That is incredible. There will be some behind the scenes action on that. I have also just done a big punk photo shoot, which will be showing some behind the scenes and some of the people involved. There were some big stars in that. And I am doing a little bit of traveling, so I'll be sharing where I'm going, where I've been. Some of it will be work related, some of it will be fun related. So, crammed show. It will be so much better than this one, but I hope you've enjoyed it a little bit, and subscribe and tell your friends where to come and find me, and hopefully we'll all have fun together soon. That was a really bad ending. Sorry. I might even have my hair cut for the first time. Oh, was that it? Lovely. That was a Jan Skates production.